everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics. I'm one of your hosts, Angel, with John Pepe.
How's it going, Angel?
We are back, bro. It's Monday.
It is.
It is Monday, right?
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, it's good to be back. How you doing? All right?
I'm good. It's gorgeous out. At time of recording, it's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feels like 2 p.m. And it's like 72 degrees outside, which is crazy because like 2 weeks ago it was just winter.
No, it's insane. It's insane. But they're calling it a fall spring. So
yes.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. But you know what? I'll take it for whatever it is.
It's nice today. Yeah.
It's all melted away, which is fantastic.
Which scares me too, because it means nature's making way for more snow.
Fuck no. No,
just like last time.
No, I'm so close to moving, but I couldn't take the heat. Like 365 days a year.
You gotta.
Or is it 367?
It depends on the year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or is it 364? Yeah.
It's if you go to a place like Virginia where it's got like a moderate climate, that's bearable. You get some winter, but you don't get a baking summer as far as I know.
But then you're in Virginia. Yes. Yes, Joseph, we are just on time. We're always on time, brother, if not early sometimes. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Indie Comic Review. This is episode number 184, and we do have some comics for you this week. I know we went off on a whole tangent last week about eBay and the whole price gouging and stuff like that, and I keep hearing stuff. For all it's worth, I mean, it's good if there's stimulation in the market, right? And it brings people to the stores. It's that small population just takes advantage of people and the situation and whatever it is. And it is what it is. But yeah, we had, I think, another 2 books this week, right? That were in that same category. One that I'm going to be going over. And, I gave a little bit of advice in regards to just stay away from. I mean, if you're on eBay and books are on pre-sale for books that haven't come out yet that are ridiculously overpriced. I mean, you should be able to get your weekly books at cover price. You shouldn't have to pay more than that. I mean, I've even heard some instances, and I don't know if it's true. I hope it's not, where, some stores are pulling books off the shelf because they go up in market value and then all of a sudden they end up on their eBay channel and stuff like that. So, yeah, a whole bunch of shiesty shit, but it's crazy. It's all insane.
Yeah. For those who didn't get to watch the interview with Tom Palmer Jr. that I did, that you were not able to be a part of, we touch on that a little bit at the end.
I saw it. Yeah, it was a good show.
Some of his thoughts. Yeah. So it was interesting to hear his thoughts about it. He overwhelmingly seemed to think it's a good thing as far as getting attention to some of these creators. I'm skeptical because I don't think people are reading this stuff. And there's some great creators, including the one that you're doing tonight, and it'd be great if it does goose this and their other past series, because I like those guys. They're weird and crazy, right. But it really does feel like a double-edged sword at this point. And here we are now, 3 books, same company. The other book this week was Nectar from Mad Cave,
right?
So again, and it just lather, rinse, repeat, another week. And there's more books, I think, that are on the speculator market right now, that are going to come out on Wednesday. And it's just, we'll see if it drives people to the stores. Great. Again, I hope that people's talents aren't going unseen. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah. And it's nothing new. I mean, this has been done over and over and over. It's crazy how it just came out of nowhere, starting with Brett Bean's book, Dork. I mean, a great fucking title. It's a great book as well. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Scotty Young and that type of style, then it's right up your alley. I just hope it's not for the short term. I hope there's some long-term longevity with this.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have print runs like we had back in the, 80s and 90s, like they were in the millions.
Right.
I mean, the most that we've had, I mean, even with like Absolute Batman, we're talking about how many printings?
And up to 300,000.
Yeah, and
from 150 to 300,000 now. Yeah, it's not even close to like 500,000 on a single issue print run. because that's the state of comics. And yet that is huge right now for comics.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting too, because the other question when this started to happen was, how's the number 2 going to do? And I know that there are some stores, because Dork number 2 comes out on Wednesday.
Yep.
And I know there are
Already
some stores that are already sold out, but there are other stores that are not sold out. So, so now it's almost like the it's leveling, you know, right by the second issue. So we'll see.
And I think the second print of the first issue already came out as well.
That was last week, or
that was last week. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see if it. Listen, we'll know by issue 3 or 4 where it goes and stuff like that. I actually liked the book. Yeah. White Sky was another book that I really liked as well, and that's another one that's in that same boat. We'll see what happens with these books that we're talking about this week and stuff like that. But yeah, just take a look out for that. We do have a couple of quick announcements and some news. First off, just Project Shadow Breed, just throwing it out there for you guys. We're over 50% on our Kickstarter, which is fantastic. I think we got about 20 something days to go. So if you want to go over to projectshadowbreed.com and support indie comics, there's 2 covers. This is one of them. This is the homage to Hulk 181. You can pick that up there as well. So yeah, all the information on the story. You know, the tagline that we always use is, what if you know, Punisher met X-Files kind of thing, and it's kind of crossed over. It's really cool stuff with werewolf soldiers and conspiracies with high-tech military companies and stuff like that, and all takes place in Seattle because they have such bad gang violence over there. Really, really fucking weird. Yeah, projectshadowbreed.com. You can check out that Kickstarter. Thank you guys for those of you that already support it, and you can go over and take a gander over there as well.
Who did this cover we're looking at, man? That's a nice cover.
I don't know. It's pretty cool though. Yeah, so check that out,
so
guys.
Modest.
All right, and then really quickly, so we're moving on to a new segment of it for this week. I'm gonna hand it over to John. It's crazy. I mean,
yeah. But you know what?
For so long.
I know, and we're gonna get to that. But I just actually remembered one other bit of news that resonates a little bit, I think, with guys of our age, our era. We had a passing the other day. Jennifer Runyon. Remember Jennifer Runyon?
Yeah. You know what? I never watched Charles in Charge.
Okay.
But I do remember Ghostbusters.
Good for you. Scene. Yeah, Ghostbusters. She was also, I believe, the girlfriend in, you know, the one of Desire in Revenge of the Nerds, right? Ted McGinley's girlfriend.
Yes.
Who, and unfortunately, Robert Carradine passed, you know, right? So that's kind of weird.
Two weeks ago, yeah.
But yeah, she was famously Gwendolyn Pierce on the first season of Charles in Charge, which is a very weird story about that whole. That show aired on CBS, did badly, picked up like 3 years later, and had like a second life in syndication. Whatever, Scott Baio. So, but Jennifer Runyon, really, very famous first scene in Ghostbusters, like, you know, was on the verge of being the it girl of the 80s, and then just kind of, I think, either walked away or just the roles weren't there for. I don't know the details, but 65, still young, no matter how you look at it, and yeah, just somebody that was very, you know, formative when when you're a young boy growing up, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about that scene is if it's with Bill Murray.
Yes.
So I mean, he steals the scene. So there's really nothing but him, and everybody's just sort of like an ancillary. Just and
then there's the guy in the other scene, the one who's chewing the gum, and Murray zaps him so hard the gum falls out of his mouth. But that was sort of her thing. Like she was this like picture of calm beauty. With chaos around her.
Yes.
And I think that was a really nice niche that she had found for herself in her early career.
Well, it's crazy because I was on like Yahoo this morning, and they had like all these like I don't remember what it was, but it was sort of like these actors then and now kind of thing, or then now, and we're looking at actors that like are into their 80s. So I mean, this is going to be a year because we're already in March. I can't even imagine how many more we're going to lose by the end of the year. And if we look at, you know, where they are, Harrison Ford.
Keep him away from planes. I'm telling you, Harrison Ford, we love you. We know you love flying planes.
Yes.
It's time to stop.
I mean, he's 80 now. And it's, You can't say 80s old because we got people living older. I mean, you look at Clint Eastwood, he's
Yeah.
90 something.
Something,
Dick
yeah.
Van Dyke is
Dick Van Dyke,
96.
100. He's 100. He hit
Is he
100. Dick
100?
Van Dyke. Yeah, that
No,
was a
not
big
yet.
deal. Yeah,
Oh
that was a
shit, yeah,
big
that's
deal.
right. Yeah, and you got a bunch of other people that are just. I mean, look at Robert De Niro,
He's still sweeping
Al
chimneys. That Dick Van
Pacino.
Dyke.
Yeah, yes. Well, he was tap dancing at
It was a
100,
side. It was a
which is
side gig,
crazy.
right?
So yeah, so we're only in March, so we still got 9 more months of we'll see what happens. Cross our fingers and stuff like that. But little by little, I mean, yeah, we're getting at the age where we're losing people that we actually grew up with.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be really substantial people.
Yeah.
And we've already lost some as well. So
Yeah.
um,
Even in the comic industry, and while
yeah,
yes, so
yeah,
now we're going to move to the next bit of news. That's called a segue.
yes, which is another memorandum that we're going to be doing now.
So unfortunately we did have another loss, but this is not a mortal loss. This is an industry loss in the terms of the fact that Mike Richardson, founder and publisher of Dark Horse Comics, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary, had always said, no, we're never going to sell. It's always going to be my thing. About a year ago, I kind of forgot this happened, did sell Dark Horse to Embracer, which is a video game developer, and they kept Mike Richardson along in the publisher position for a year and a half, and it was announced last week that they did let him go. I did not really seen an official statement or reaction from Mike Richardson at this point. I know that a lot of people in the industry are kind of upset by this, and we're like, well, at least look at what he had done and what he had started. The hope is that Dark Horse will continue along where it's been. I know that they, were very heavy on licensed stuff. There's still a bunch of licensed stuff, specifically all the Netflix stuff. There was a big push a couple years ago to get any comic that had a Netflix, association under the Dark Horse banner, and so all the Mark Millar stuff moved over there. Now, what does Mark Millar do with all of his properties now that Netflix contract is coming out, or ending? Does that stay with Dark Horse? But Dark Horse still has a great stable of talent and imprints and books. But I already know, like James Tynion, Tiny Onion. I think he's starting to make some moves. Tiny Onion with some other publishers coming soon. So we'll see where this goes. But Mike Richardson, Dark Horse Comics, again, like started in the mid 80s at a point when a lot of the indie publishers like First Comics and Comico and Eclipse were all starting to go. They were all starting to go down, and he kind of carried that torch, which did, I think, in a lot of ways lead to Image, lead to, again, in within Dark Horse in the indie world, creator owned, and one of the first big ones for Dark Horse and Mike was Mike Mignola's Hellboy, right? Which we'll kind of touch on a little bit as well, because that's slightly related to the book I'm going to be reviewing. But yeah, man, he did so much, and unfortunately, this happened. Some people, like Joseph, has commented that he saw that coming. Like I said, I forgot about the Embracer deal. It's kind of blindsided me last week. I wish Mike a lot of luck in the future. Maybe he'll go into another publishing venture. Maybe he'll just enjoy his retirement, get back to writing some more. But yeah, big loss on the publishing side of comics as far as somebody who really did a lot. Started with very little.
Well, and he wasn't just started it, publisher. He was still an active creator too.
Of course,
we were still reviewing books that he was writing. Up to like last year and stuff like that. So it's crazy because we know what to expect from Dark Horse, the kind of stuff they were putting out. The guy that they put in charge is more of a gaming guy. So whether or not he understands the publishing side of it, and I think they're keeping it around because they want to get more IP, and I think they want to do more cross-platform media stuff. So taking whatever they have now and either putting it in games or trying to create multimedia out of it as well, like movies and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, you kind of compare this to like what happened with Valiant.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, as somebody who has sort of been paying attention to this kind of stuff, this sort of behind the scenes stuff for close to 40 years now,
Hmm.
you know, yeah, it does. My fear is that it reminds me of what happened to Valiant. The big difference is that Valiant, when Jim Shooter, you know, left or was fired or sold or whatever, and then Acclaim kind of took over in the 90s. You know, the video game company kind of took over Valiant.
Mm.
Um, Valiant was still a young company with a lot of heat when that happened. And it's almost like Marvel buying Malibu and then just shutting Malibu down,
Yeah,
right?
shutting down.
So the thing that kind of calms that fear of another Valiant situation is, again, Dark Horse has 40 years of solid publishing. Like, it is a brand enough now in and of itself in the
Mm.
comic world, as well as, you know, film and television. You know, they've done some movies like Barbed Wire, which I think is getting a reboot, right? So there's things out there that I think would, you know, if this person knows, you know, believes in comics, right? And isn't just using this to mine for video game IPs, to keep Dark Horse chugging along the way it has been. That's
Right.
my hope.
And that's the gamble, right? So you're taking somebody who's coming from a different background, not sure what kind of publishing background he has, or I mean, it could be somebody who doesn't even like comics. He's
Yeah,
just been handed this thing so that he can kind of merge two
yeah.
things together. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, see, and we'll know what the products that are coming out over the next couple of months, if anything comes out. I
Mhm.
mean, Mike Mignola has a whole like universe of stuff that keeps coming out. So what happens
Two
to
now.
that? Yeah, it's insane. So, yeah, it's when you told me about it, I had read on it, and it kind of like escaped my mind. And then you just refreshed my mind, and I was like, God damn!
Yeah.
I mean, we could be seeing the end of another publishing freaking small press that we really really like.
I
I just
hope
hope
not.
I hope not as well.
No.
So, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep you guys posted, and if we hear anything on our side.
I will say, if I had to choose between a video game corporate entity running a comic book company versus a cosmetics company like Revlon running a comic company, I would rather go
Yeah.
with the video game company.
Yes. Yes, I agree. All right, cool. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, so let's move on. Let's go in. We only have 2 books this week, so it's pretty much a short week. I did want to say though, over the last couple of weeks, if you guys missed it, we had some really great guests on. We had Joe Brusha from Zenoscope,
So
really
good.
awesome guy. It was a really great conversation. So if you head over to the YouTube channel, you can definitely check that out. Yeah, we spent a little bit over an hour just talking about all stuff and just getting really good insight on, the start of their company, how they got into, being able to cross over into TV and stuff like that, and how the whole Hollywood scene kind of works. Then John was able to sit down with Tom Palmer, who has Palmer's Picks, which were just excerpts of articles that he wrote from Wizard magazine, kind of make them as a collection that are being offered to the public. I got to watch most of it. Dude, it was really entertaining. You guys had a really good conversation, and I took a bunch of clips and posted those as well.
It's awesome. Yeah.
All for that. So I'm hoping we can have him back because I felt bad that I couldn't be there. But yeah, maybe we can have him back in the future. But yeah, guys,
Yeah.
so really cool guests that we had over the last couple of weeks. We do have more guests lined up for the next couple of weeks, so look out for those as well. We have, I think, Owen Ratliff on tonight, who's going to be talking about his book called Black Salt over at Kickstarter. So we're really looking forward to that. And then over the next couple of weeks, we have more guests that are coming on, which is cool. All right, so let's get into our reviews. So why don't you shoot off first?
Yeah, sure. So, as far as what we were talking about with Mike Richardson and Dark Horse, the book I have this week is from Dark Horse, with the Curious Objects imprint, which is the basically the Mike Mignola stable of books at this point, which,
Nice.
as we mentioned before, does include the Hellboy universe. And Mike Mignola has really grown and expanded Hellboy with the BPRD spin-offs and just a whole world. And he's still opening up that world with all these great, miniseries, all in the world of Hellboy. But that apparently wasn't enough for him. So he has created another universe.
Yes. Well, you know what though? It took him a long time to even give up Hellboy and being able to have other people do stories. So credit to him.
Yeah. And really quick, you flashed on Joseph. Yes, Joseph Tom was pretty excellent. Hopefully we'll have him back on this show again. He's also going to be, we're going to kind of tie up some loose ends and talk about some other stuff on my other show, the Pep Talk. So watch for that. But anyway, back to the book. So about a year or so ago, Mike Mignola came out with a graphic novel called Bowling for Corpses. And that was the launch of this Lands Unknown universe. There is a second one on the way, and that is called Yuri Tupka and the Gods. And so this is, not having read Bowling for Corpses, but having read about it and talked to people about it, very Hellboy-esque, very much that sort of dark world of monsters and talking animals and eldritch horrors and things like that. But this looks like it's a little more of at least from what I read with this, Hellboy is more like my experience with Hellboy, it's more 1940s to present.
Yep.
A lot of, with some times past stuff to the Victorian era and things like that. This looks like it goes way back deep. This almost is like sort of like a prehistory, Conan Hyborian age type thing. So not having read Bowling for Corpses, I dove into the first of this 2-part miniseries called Lands Unknown, The Skinless Man. So now the great thing about being Mike Mignola and having your own universe is you could kind of job stuff out. So this is created by Ben Stenbeck for this Lands Unknown world. And he did the story and the art. Dave Stewart did the colors. Clem Robbins lettered. And there is a variant cover by Mike Mignola, which is the one that I chose because I love Mignola and I love And it is also president publisher Mike Richardson, edited by Katie O'Brien, associate editor Misha Gare, designer Riley Van Dyke, digital art technician AJ Newell, and pre-press Alexandra Devon. And so what you have here is basically a very weary old Viking-esque traveler. I believe he is known as the red-haired god killer or something. And he is traveling with his 2 companions. One is a giant wolf, appears to be a wolf that he rides, and a bunny rabbit.
Nice.
They both talk, Angel, just so you're aware. They do both talk, but they're traveling. They are obviously in search of something or someone, and they wind up at this witch's cabin. And so they go to take shelter from the storm, and this old crone witch basically tells them the story of the king of the Valley of Thieves, known as the Skinless Man. Man of pure evil who basically just raids villages and plunders the riches with his gang. And on one of their excursions, they find a baby who has golden eyes. And they're divided about what to do. So the Skinless Man looks at this baby and says, I think there's something there that could help me with my condition, this unknown condition he has that basically rots the skin off his flesh, and it just foul, terrible look and smell, apparently. And so over the course of this tale, the King of Thieves hires 6 warlocks who are brothers. They tell him this is the cure that you have to go find. You have to get a giant to use his own blood to make blood cake, and that will help you get the skin from this golden baby onto you, because the baby needs to grow really fast because it's a baby. There's not enough skin to go around. Literally, that's kind of what. So he goes, not knowing that this is a setup, that the warlocks want to take the baby for themselves, and sends him on a false quest. And so while he's gone, they basically decimate his kingdom and run off with the baby, leaving one of them behind. And so when the skinless man returns, El Kupar returns, it begins this sort of revenge tale. That's sort of where we leave this first issue. You do get a return to the framing sequence where the travelers are hearing the story, and the rabbit is like, "Why do we need to know this?" And basically, the witch tells them exactly why they need to know this tale, as it does pertain to both their past and the quest that they're on. So that's that, without giving away too much. I really enjoyed this. Again, it's just kind of scratches that sort of Conan sword and sorcery itch, as far as just this really neat kind of prehistory world with very interesting characters, mostly evil and really just unsavory. And I feel like Ben Stenbeck really carries that across very well. It's a really neat sort of close up there of the skinless man with his hair.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a very detailed art. It is very reminiscent of Mike Mignola, but fleshes out, I think, a lot more of the details, and does have more of like a three-dimensional quality. So like you can kind of see the baby with the glowing eyes there.
Yeah.
The warlock's up to no good. So just, if you like this sort of like Lord of the Rings, travelers on a quest, get sidetracked by a tale of times past that will inform their journey going forward, give it a shot. It's a 2-issue investment. Really does make me want to check out Bowling for Corpses, and then the upcoming second graphic novel that is written and illustrated by Mike Mignola, again, Uri Tupka and the Gods. And but without having read those, just a nice clean entry. You don't need to know really anything except your love of adventure and weird stories and skinless men and old crones.
All right.
And talking rabbits.
Well, Dan, Comics Corner 25 likes the book.
Yes.
That's good. All right, guys, check it out. It's from Dark Horse. Michael Richardson is the publisher for now.
For now.
I wonder how many he's going to be on there for. All right, cool. So then that brings us to our final book, which is Narco from Image Comics. So this is written by Doug Wagner, artist Daniel Hilliard, colors by Dave Stewart, letters by Ed Dirkshire, and the editor is Kevin Gardner. This is, I didn't even know there was a plastic verse.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I knew the books that he was doing, that they were coming out. So the creative team of Wagner and Hilliard, I mean, they've been writing serial killer books forever. In a sense.
Plastic, vinyl,
plush. And I was a high school fashion something killer.
Yeah.
So up to now, all of these books have been written pretty much from the serial killer's perspective. This is the first one that we have that's from the opposite side. So you have this guy, Marcus, who's on the cover right here, who has a condition of narcolepsy. So if you don't know what narcolepsy is, it's just you blacking out and going night-night. Wait, what was this? Now this is the top pick this week.
Yeah.
What book?
Oh, Narco. I think Dan's talking about Narco there.
Yeah. So, dude, I mean, because I read Plastic. That was the first part of this whole Plastic series kind of thing. Loved it. Really, like the mind of Wagner is just so twisted.
Like but Kyle Stark's one of these guys that I'm really glad they're writing comics, because if they weren't writing comics, I think they'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, like or something. So you have this guy Marcus who has narcolepsy, but it gets triggered whenever he gets super excited. So he walks around with a heart rate monitor on his wrist, and whenever his BPMs go over 200, he blacks out. So what was really cool about this book was how frustrating it was to read, because when he blacked out, you don't know what happens. So you're in the same boat that he's in. Where normally when you're reading a comic, you're reading it from sort of like a bird's eye view or a third-party perspective, where you know things that the characters don't. Here, you know as much as this character, which is nothing. And there's nothing more frustrating than that. But really great to be part of that, because you feel immersed in that.
Mhm.
So basically, you find so he works from home because of his condition, but he also has this thing where he trolls serial killer conspiracy theorists online, and he'll write these long stories, just kind of like trolling them and stuff like that. And you sort of get these glimpses of, people saying, be careful, what you write, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's setting up stuff later on. Now, if you've read any of the Plastic Verse stuff, you know that most of these, they're all minis.
Mhm.
They're like 5, 6 issues, and they're done. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be around that as well. So you get glimpses of what's going to happen probably in later issues bringing in, so you have to pay attention, which is what I like, because they'll throw clues in there of stuff that you'll see later on. So with his condition, it keeps him from really going outside and interacting, but he does have a close set of friends, and they end up meeting at this restaurant or diner that they usually read at. And they meet at this diner because there's a particular waitress there that he likes. And they've been going there for over 2 years, and he still has not made a move at all. But long story short, he had fixed her Wi-Fi, and she promised him dinner, which he's been kind of like alluding to staying away from because he's really nervous about being around her and stuff like that. Come to find out that she's actually his neighbor from right across the hallway, which is even more insane. So she finally says, "Listen, I owe you dinner. Not taking no. We're gonna, set it up, whatever it is." So he's going through his whole thing. He hears a commotion outside in the hallway when he's at home, and it's the ex-boyfriend of the girl. Her name is Jess. He's knocking on the door. He's screaming, "Hey, I'm not gonna let you see anybody. You're my girl." And she's like, "Get out of here. We should have never dated." Marco's on the other side of the door calling the police to, whatever. The guy says, "Hey, Marco, I can hear you. You're a creep, blah, blah," kicks the door. He gets super excited, knocks out. We don't know what happens after that, which is insane. So we get towards the end of the book, and basically what we get to at the very end of this, should I give it away? A little bit. He basically witnesses something that makes him get knocked out again at the very end of the book. And he witnesses a murder of someone who, yeah, yeah, it's a frustrating read, but such a good read because there's definitely a serial killer, and there's connection to other stories of other books. So you
Mm.
can go back and see the reference to those books if you want to catch up on those books and stuff like that as well. So yeah, and there's a really good write up with the creators on the back of how they approach this particular book, how it's different from the stuff that they've written before, the perspective of it not being from the serial killer, but actually being hunted by the serial killer, and we don't know if it's one of the serial killers from one of the other books
Mm.
because he's been trolling these serial killer sites as well. So we don't know how big it is, but it was such like I said, a frustrating but fun read. I've not been disappointed with this creative team at all since the
Mhm.
beginning of with Plastic. I read the first couple of issues of Vinyl as well. I was waiting to get the trade and stuff like that. So it's probably something that I'm going to go and brush back and go get those other stories just to see if any of that stuff starts to tie in towards the end of this book as well. But really cool to give sort of like the protagonist this sort of disability, if you want to call it, where he needs to solve this particular crime happening now, but has no idea who did it,
It's a
and if
great
he's going to
narrative
be the next
technique. Yeah.
target.
Yeah, it's a great narrative technique, and it because again, as he learns what happens, the reader will get the gaps filled, hopefully, and
Yes.
it'll be really interesting. It's a similar, I guess, to what they did in the Moon Knight series, where you're following the one personality, and then when he would switch personalities in a moment of stress, you, the viewer, would wake up when the other personality came back, so you would just see the aftermath of the fight,
Right.
things
Right.
like that. So I love that as a narrative technique of things are happening while the main character is there, but they're wholly unaware of what happened. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's funny, and you get like little glimpses. So like the first time you get to see him knock out, he's actually in the park, on his laptop doing his trolling thing, and then all of a sudden he sees a possum just pull up next to him, but he has his Pop Tart in his mouth or he's eating his Pop Tart, and he's freaking out that the possum is there. and all of a sudden you hear his watch is going beep, 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 and his heart rate is increasing, and it hits 200, and he knocks out. Then he wakes up and he sees the possum eating the Pop-Tart. And then the possum dies because the Pop-Tart, I guess, was toxic to him. So it's just really funny and stuff like that. But it's cool to kind of like, so we know that in between the panels, you fill in information, right?
Yeah.
But now you have to fill in more information for something that just blacked out. And you're looking for clues. So me, when I'm looking at art to, for certain things, for, negative space, the use of color, blacks and stuff like that. Now I'm looking at the panels to see if there's any clue as to what happened when this guy blacked out.
Yeah.
So that's a different level of participation.
I also kind of like it as like a reverse Hulk kind of aspect where it's like, what if Bruce Banner was narcoleptic? Like, what if in times of stress, instead of turning into Hulk, Bruce Banner just fell asleep?
That's good. Reminded me a lot of Sleep. I never read do you ever read Sleep?
No, I didn't read that one yet either, but people really liked it.
Who was that from?
Oh, God, I want to say that
I'm not asking you, I'm asking Dan.
Oh, yeah, Dan, let us know. I want to say Mad Cave, but I'm not sure.
No. Is it recent?
I think it just wrapped up. It's 8 issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out then.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But yeah, Narco from Image Comics. Wagner and Hilliard. Really good, solid team.
Xander Can and Image. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then I might check that out as well. Because this was really fun. And they never disappoint. So I think I'm going to keep with this one. And what's crazy is there's not a lot in here as far as like story, but you get a lot, if that makes any sense. Because it's still, I think, about 22 pages or whatever. There's not a lot of backstory, so you don't get too much on his friends or anything like that. You don't even get a lot on him, except for this thing that he's living with. And then everything just happens really, really, it's really quick paced, which is fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Hilliard has a great, nice, clean art style, which really does sell the gore and the wackiness. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it's crazy because it's wacky, but the stuff that he's drawing is really gorish. And so you can look at it without being disgusted. It's more like being fascinated by it. So it's a really unique way of presenting horror that way, which is fantastic. Let me see. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, we'll check it out for sure. I'll definitely pick it up and see what's up with that. All right, so there you go. You have 2 books for this week. You got Lands Unknown, The Skinless Man from Dark Horse, and Narco from Image Comics. Both really worth picking up and stuff like that, guys. So yeah, if you want to, definitely check that out. And that brings us towards the end of this particular episode. Once again, guys, listen, I want to thank you guys for those of you that have supported the Kickstarter. Justin and I have been working really, really hard. This is issue number 2, but you have the option of picking up issue number 1 as well. If you've not been there, just go to projectshadowbreed.com. You'll get all the information on there. I think we got about 20-something days left for the Kickstarter. We're at 57%. So if you get us to 100, that'd be even more fantastic. Support indie comics. That's what we're here for. All right, cool, guys. We're at the very end. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast. Better yet, bring 100 of your closest friends every Monday. We're here live at 1 p.m. to go over comic reviews. We also have guests on the show. So if you want to be a guest on the show, want to be on the podcast, go to indiecreatorcomics.com. Click out the form on the podcast form sheet. John and I would love to have you on to talk about you and your project. Social media at Indie Creator Comics, all over the place. And then last but not least, most importantly, please, please, please support your local comic shops, because without them, we would not be able to do what we love to do, and that is talk comics. It is March now. You've got April, and the first Saturday in May is Free Comic Book Day. So we'll probably be announcing it like once every other week or anything like that till we get to that day. Very important day. John, where do you get your comics from?
Well, I get my comics at The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And yes, our countdown clock for Free Comic Book Day is up, and it is counting down to the best day of comics in the year. You can't find a better day. You can't find a better countdown clock. So while you come on down to the Joker's Child to buy your comics, and if you like watching clocks count down, if your favorite YouTube video is the Avengers Doomsday Countdown Clock, come and watch our countdown clock in person and live as it counts down to Free Comic Book Day. If you can't make it to the Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, use your Google search engine machine to find your local comic shop. And if they don't have a countdown clock for Free Comic Day, you tell them they should probably get one too.
Absolutely. All right, guys, until next time, we want to thank you for joining us on the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics.